Don't skip this video. What you're about to see took place in a real courtroom and changed the entire justice system of a country. A 3-year-old child did something that shocked everyone. He pointed to a police officer among dozens of people. What happened next will leave you speechless. Turn on the bell and find out how an innocent child uncovered one of the biggest scandals in history. The Central Courthouse was particularly busy that Tuesday. It seemed like a regular hearing was about to begin, until it turned into one of the most significant cases in Brazilian legal history. In the crowd sat Maria, holding her 3-year-old son Lucas. Little Lucas, unaware of the gravity of the courtroom setting, quietly played with his toy fire truck, a birthday gift. His curious eyes studied the high ceilings, mesmerized by the antique chandeliers hanging overhead. Maria was there to testify as a witness in an armed robbery case. She had seen the crime from her shop window 6 months earlier. With no one to watch Lucas, she had to bring him along. After much persuasion, the judge allowed it. The courtroom's formal atmosphere sharply contrasted with the boy's innocence. While lawyers in flawless suit rushed through the corridors, Lucas stayed in his own world, driving his fire truck along the armrest of the chair he sat on. Then the side door opened. Bailiffs and uniformed police officers entered, taking their positions to ensure the courtroom's security. The routine was so familiar, nobody paid special attention, except Lucas. Suddenly, he stopped playing. His wide eyes locked onto a particular spot in the courtroom. His fire truck slipped from his small hands, echoing across the silent room. With a seriousness far beyond his age, Lucas raised his tiny finger and pointed at one of the police officers. "There he is," he said loudly and clearly, breaking courtroom protocol. "Mommy, that's him." The silence that followed was deafening. Heads turned first to the boy, then to the officer he pointed at. The officer suddenly turned pale. No one yet knew that this innocent gesture was about to trigger a chain of events that would forever change the judicial system. Children's intuition is mysterious, isn't it? Have you ever been in a situation where a child noticed something no one else did? If so, comment the word intuition below. The officer Lucas pointed to, Sergeant Mendez, stood frozen. His face showed a mix of shock and something else, fear. Maria noticed his once perfectly still hands now trembled slightly. Judge Dr. Orques Roberto Campos, who had been about to start the session, sensed the sudden change in the room. "Mommy, that's him." "That's him," Lucas repeated, with unsettling certainty. Maria tried calming her son, embarrassed by the attention. But Lucas refused to stop. His eyes were fixed on the officer, who took a step back, trying to blend into the wall. Prosecutor Dr. Paulo Marques watched with growing concern. In his 20 years of experience, he had learned to trust his instincts, and they were now sounding alarms. Sergeant Mendez wasn't reacting like an innocent man. He looked like someone who had just seen a ghost. "Let's take a short recess," the judge announced, feeling the tension. "Sergeant Mendez, I'd like a word with you in my office." As whispers filled the courtroom, Dr. Paulo discreetly approached Maria. "Ma'am, do you know why your son reacted that way to Sergeant Mendez?" I don't know," she replied. "Lucas has never seen him before. We're only here for my robbery testimony." Paulo frowned. His mind raced with possibilities. "Did you see the robbers' faces?" "No, they wore masks, but one of them." Maria paused, her eyes widening. "One of them had a distinct walk. He limped slightly, on his right leg." Right then, everyone watched Sergeant Mendez walk to the judge's office, limping slightly on his right leg. The judge discreetly signaled 2 bailiffs to block the courtroom exits. Something big had just been set in motion. Instinct is powerful. Have you ever had a gut feeling that was impossible to ignore? If so, comment instinct below. The hours following the incident triggered an intense investigation. Dr. Paulo Marques acted quickly. While Mendez was being held for questioning, a special team reviewed his case history. What they found was beyond troubling. "I want every case Mendez touched over the past 5 years," Paulo ordered. The office turned into an impromptu investigation center. Files piled up. Each one revealed a disturbing pattern. Maria and Lucas were placed under protection. Lucas, still unaware of his impact, played with his fire truck in a secure courtroom room. But whenever anyone mentioned Mendez, Lucas froze. His eyes showed a fear no child should know. "Ms. Maria," Dr. Paulo said, flipping through a thick file, "we found something you need to see." On the table were dozens of police reports, all with one thing in common: robberies where victims mentioned a suspect with a slight limp on the right leg. The coincidence was impossible to ignore. In each case, Mendez was one of the first officers to arrive. He played a key role in every investigation, always pointing to suspects who, under review, had solid alibis. Those alibis were mysteriously dismissed. And that's not all, Paulo continued. "We've uncovered large deposits in offshore accounts linked to shell companies. The deposit dates matched the robbery dates exactly." The investigation deepened. Old victims were called back to review photos of Mendez, this time without a uniform. Their reactions were immediate: recognition and fear. One elderly woman, robbed 2 years earlier, fainted when she saw his picture. "He was there," another victim said, trembling. "He wore a mask, but I'll never forget those eyes and that limp." The case was escalating fast. Other officers began speaking out anonymously. "He ran a complex operation," one young officer admitted. "Used insider knowledge to pick targets, committed the robberies himself, then got assigned to investigate them." The wall of silence was finally breaking. As evidence mounted, Lucas remained the case's central figure. Child psychologists were called in to understand how a 3-year-old had recognized someone adults had failed to expose for years. "Children at this age don't have social filters," explained Dr. Helena Santos, a child psychology expert. "They respond to instinct." Lucas likely picked up on something in Mendez's behavior that adults, trained to trust badges and uniforms, ignored. The case began to spread across jurisdictions. A child's innocent gesture was now unraveling one of the biggest criminal schemes ever discovered inside a police force. Truth has a way of coming to light, sometimes in the most unexpected ways. Have you ever had a truth come to you in an unbelievable way? If so, comment truth below. The case exploded in the media. 3-year-old exposes police corruption ring, screamed headlines across the country. The once routine courtroom had become ground zero for one of the largest police corruption investigations ever seen. After 48 hours of intense interrogation, Sergeant Mendez finally broke down. His video-recorded confession stunned even the most seasoned investigators. "It started 7 years ago," he admitted, his voice stripped of the authority his badge once gave him. "We used privileged access to pick vulnerable targets. Merchants, the elderly, people we knew had cash at home or made regular bank trips." The investigation revealed a vast network, involving 3 police delegates and even a retired judge. They didn't just commit crimes, they manipulated investigations, framing innocent people while staying untouchable. "The scariest part," Dr. Paulo said at a press conference, "is that they got away with it for so long because no one questioned the authority of a uniform. It took the innocence of a child to see past appearances." It turned out the robbery Maria had witnessed was just one of many, all carefully orchestrated. When Lucas pointed at Mendez, something clicked, Maria told investigators. "That limp. I saw it that day, but I couldn't believe a cop could be a criminal." Lucas, unknowingly, had become a hero. Psychologists were amazed at his visual memory. The investigation also uncovered a vast money laundering system. Stolen money was converted into cryptocurrency and transferred through offshore accounts. Over 50 million reais in total. Each new file revealed more. Inspector Sandra Milu, now leading the Special Task Force, said, "What started with a child's gesture has become the largest anti-corruption operation in our police force's history." The impact on victims was immense. Dozens of cases were reopened. Wrongfully accused individuals began to be released. Families that had lost everything finally got answers. "My father died believing street thugs robbed him," one woman tearfully testified. "Now we know the people who were supposed to protect us were behind it." Sentences were handed down. 25 years for Mendez, 15 to 20 for his accomplices. Reforms were enacted. A new control system is being implemented, the civil police commander announced. Every incident will have dual protocols, with external oversight. Body cams are now mandatory in 100% of operations. An AI system was developed to detect suspicious patterns in police reports. This new framework was named the Lucas Protocol. Maria became a featured speaker at public safety conferences. Lucas, now 4, became a symbol of a new era in law enforcement. His photo, pointing his finger, was turned into a poster displayed at precincts across the country. Truth can come from the purest sources. Recovered funds were redirected by court order to modernize the police and support crime victims. This taught us to look beyond the obvious, Dr. Paulo said, now promoted to coordinator of the Anti-Corruption Task Force. A child showed us that truth doesn't care about uniforms or ranks. It's just waiting for someone brave enough to point to it.